definitely into the CIO role, and I was quite sure I was the only woman in the last round of candidates. First of all, I'm somebody who don't really think about it. I don't really think about it, and I think it's best not to think about it because we are in a role whether you're female or male, and I think especially if you look around, there are a lot of very, very successful women around, and I think the truly successful women is they don't think about their gender. They do the best they can, and they try to fit into the role. My biggest respect is actually for women who are in a very senior position and very influential positions, but they don't consider that they're special. And I think I don't consider myself. I just consider that I was one of the candidates to try to apply for a job, and I got it. And very often, if I go to functions, I don't even think about the gender. I still think the best way is not to think about the gender. Be yourself and be professional. If we look at how technology's changed now, most of the technological development is all focused at the vendor. So if you don't work for a vendor at the user level, right, at a user company level, you actually don't need to be a real nerd, which is what I call myself originally. I was a nerd to begin with. You don't actually need to be a nerd to do the job at all. But what you do need is because you're often in a role or in a position where either you are the sole decision maker or you're part of a group who decide on technology or the vendor. You actually need very good judgment. You need good judgment in terms of you need to be able to look at, for example, to understand what the company needs are and to judge all the solutions that are put in front of you, which one are the best in terms of satisfying the need of the company. So I think you do need good judgment, that you need to make a decision based on incomplete information. IT, you're often in an industry or you're in an environment where you actually don't even know about the technology all that well yourself, right? But you have to play expert because even though you might not know it very well, you might be the person who kind of know it best in the entire company. So you have to make a decision on something you don't really know all that well and sell it to and kind of hope that this kind of best fit for what your company needs. So I wouldn't say it requires a bit of courage, but it does require somebody with a bit of foresight and with a bit of vision. And I would think every now be a bit brave. Okay, I don't know it all, but then I got to decide, because otherwise you end up procrastinating all the time. So I think you have to strike a balance of being kind of visionary, kind of being adventurous, but then understand that, okay, what a wrong decision the impact of a wrong decision can be on your company. And hopefully you find ways to mitigate those consequences. But very often I think a lot of the heads of IT or CIO roles now is really about it's about people's skill. Because now you spend a lot of time, I mean, you have to kind of convince your local management, convince management boards, convince users, convince BU leaders on technology solutions. So there's a lot of people skill involved. There's negotiation skill involved. There's a lot of I would call you need quite high EQ these days. Back in those days, you can sort of hide in the back room of being a nerd, and as long as you're good at you understand technology, you survive. No, I think these days you need very, very good EQ to survive.